All right, I think we are live. Welcome everyone to another weekends with Karthik. This week we're gonna also do a short stream because like every week for the past few weeks, this is another week where where like my friends are visiting me. It's a different tech friend each time, but every weekend for the past few weekends and for the coming few weekends, I am spending with friends who are from all over the world, uh, sort of visiting me just one after the other, totally unplanned, totally uncoordinated. So because of that, I do need to, keep these streams much shorter because I do need to spend time with them. So co- I'm not complaining that I have to spend time with my friends, but yeah, as a consequence, these streams need to be shorter than what it would otherwise have been if I just had a whole weekend of not doing anything and just being by myself. Um, but that said, I do want to quickly um, sort of explore this a new thing that I actually want to get into. So this is probably going to be more me setting up a plan, you can say, for something I want to do more of a research into and understand a better and to play around with a bit more. It's this new piece of AI called stable diffusion. I'll show you exactly what I mean by it, and show you a few examples of what aspect of it interests me. I've spoken about aspects of this in the past, but yeah, I sort of have a feeling that I need to get into the technical aspect of it a lot more. So I want to start that a, a journey into understanding what this AI aspect is, right? So that's basically what this stream is going to be about. It's going to be me trying to understand a bit more about this thing called stable diffusion and what that means, and sort of see if I can make a plan for where do I need to start if I want to learn more about stable diffusion. Let me quickly share my screen with you so I can give you a bit more of a context as to what I'm talking about. Um, Stable diffusion, as it says here, is a deep learning text to image the model released in 2022. It's primarily used to generate detailed images conditioned on text description, though it can be applied to other tasks such as in painting, out painting, and generating image to image translations guided by a text prompt, right? So I think I'm not sure if I did a stream about it or not, but I think we did a stream about Dali, um, which is this software where you can enter like you can enter a sentence, and then this AI actually generates um, like an image on the basis of that a description, right? For example, if the description is a 3D render of a cute tropical fish in an aquarium on a dark blue background, it makes this image. So the AI will create an image. So it's a text to image AI. So on the basis of an image, it will on the basis of a text, it will understand the text, and then it will create an image on the basis of it. So this has been around for a while. People have been playing around with it, and I've been very fascinated with this as well. So if somebody says I want to see, I want an image of a blue orange sliced in half, laying on a blue floor in front of blue wall, then it goes ahead and it makes an image like this, right? So all these images are auto generated by AI. Let's do one quickly so that you have an example of what I'm talking about. So, for example, I'm gonna say something very, very complex, right? I'm gonna say an oil painting of an Indian Maharaja uh, walking around in Times Square, New York, in rain. Okay, something I just already made like this up, and then the AI will do its best to give you images that describes this, and look at the results, right? So I said an oil painting of an Indian a Maharaja walking around in the Times Square in like New York in rain. So it makes stuff like this. Like this is fascinating, right? Like this is entirely AI generated, where this is so it sort of looks like an oil painting of Indian Maharaja. The umbrella looks very Indian, to be honest. Um, this one I really like. Like it's amazing that this is AI generated, right? It's so fascinating. So yeah, so it can do stuff like that. I can also ask it to, instead of an oil painting, I can like make it a cinematic 4K shot of an Indian Maharaja, right? So that was the oil painting one. So it's already a bit impressionistic and abstract, but sometimes it can also do crazy stuff which looks realistic. And whoa, look at this. This is fascinating. Okay, this one is weird. I don't know what that is. That does not look like an Indian Maharaja. But look at these images. It's so abstract and cool. Wow, this one. Okay, this one's my favorite. This is so nice. It still feels a bit impressionistic, but it's being like made by an AI on a prompt, which is fascinating, right? So basically, this AI has been taught millions of images of what a Maharaja looks like, millions of images of what your walls, or what a Times Square looks like, what is an oil painting, what is a cinematic picture, and it just is able to combine all of that knowledge, and it is able to generate images like these, right? So this is called this is a Dali. There are other like ones that sort of are like propped up as soon as as soon as something like this propped up in the scene. Um, and they've been around and they've been very very fascinating. There have been artists who have been doing incredible stuff with a tool like this, right? Um, but what's fascinating to me now is that there is this thing called stable diffusion that we spoke about, and what people are doing with that is they can still do the stuff that a Dali is doing, but they can offer it a image input as well in addition to a text input, right? Which makes it fascinating. So you can actually give it a bunch of your own images of your face, and then that AI will use the text description, use your image, and it'll make stuff for you. And I think that aspect is what's been very, very fascinating, right? And there have been some amazing examples of people doing some crazy stuff with it. There is somebody who built a website which basically you take a picture of your room, and you feed it to an AI, and you'll be like, I want to know what this room will sort of look like with like a cyberpunk as a decor, or what this room would look like with Scandinavian design, or what this room will look like with a Japanese design on it. And the AI will give you images of your own room, but stylized in these different themes, right? So then that ability to have that human image input, in addition to being able to use like a text a description of how you want this image to be transformed, I think that combination is very very fascinating, because you can do so many cool things with that now, right? So I think what is to me the most fascinating aspect. And a lot of people are doing it, and they're doing some immense work. So every time I see some immense art that is being created. So this is what is called generative art, where based on some input from humans, AI is able to generate stuff, right? Um, so all of these images, for example, this is created by stable diffusion, which is insane. So this is, of course, inspired by Van Gogh's Starry Night. Uh, these images, like, can you believe these are built on stable diffusion? This actually is from an article that says a primer on stable diffusion. So we'll read that next. So yeah, these are fascinating. Like, this is an AI generated art. This piece of art, this is not a human generated thing. Isn't that fascinating? Um, Before we go to the primer, let's just go to the Stable Diffusion website to see what they say about it. A hugging face. I don't know the. Let's do this first. So it's basically this company called Stability.ai, which is the one that has built Stable Diffusion. I don't know too much about it. Unfortunately, I've had this thing being floating around. So I know it's a tool that they use, but exactly how, I still have to dig deeper. So basically, that's what I want to do. I want to know how to create these things. Oh, so there is a beta out, and then it's basically you need to be in this beta program to be able to use their tool, Dream Studio. That's fascinating. Okay, give me access. Dream Studio is an easy to use interface creating images using recently released diffusion image generation model. Is a fast electrician. Oh, interesting. This seems. Okay, image to image is like upload a source image to guide resulting text image. This is fascinating. Okay, okay. A dream of recent interesting. But this is paid, I'm assuming then. Okay, this is, I don't know, I didn't know I could just get access to this, so this is fascinating. I'll come back to playing with it, but before that, I wanna just read this quickly. A primer on Stable Diffusion. It's an Stability AI released pre-trained model weight for Stable Diffusion, text to image AI model to generate general public. Okay, before I go into this, I want to show you what got me really excited about this, right? So basically, there was this website which I looked into, which sort of, which basically has, which basically, wait. Okay. All right, sorry, I got distracted for a minute. Um, so yeah, basically the reason I got excited about this is over the week I came across this very fascinating website which was creating AI avatars, right? So basically what it does is like how I was explaining, you can upload an image, you can offer it an input. So there were like how it did with the room. So there was this another person who made this very simple tool where you can upload your images to the tool, and it will actually make and it will feed that as an input to an AI along with a bunch of auto-generated text on how to modify images, and it will basically sort of like take the images that you are teaching it to like create different versions of it. So let me quickly show you what I mean by that. So basically, this is the thing, and it was able to generate for me all of these AI generated images, right? So these are all. Let me show you what kind of images I offered it actually. That will help you to know what I meant. Let's see. Let me put it somewhere. So basically, I gave it images like very simple images that I took of myself, stuff I found from here and there. So I offered it all of these images. So it took these, and it was able to teach that to an AI, and then it was able to auto generate these other images, right? And that's really fascinating because now you can actually offer that kind of descriptions like I did in the previous example. That I wanted to look like an oil painting, I wanted to look like a cinematic image of like uh, of like rain in like New York. With stuff like this, I can do that now with images of my own. I can be like, I want an oil painting of or like me standing in like Times Square in like New York. So I think that can unlock really fascinating stuff for me, and I think it's still early stages for sure. So I think that thing is great, but I think what's fascinating to me is the mistakes that AI is making, right? Like for example, like it's AI generated because it makes mistakes like these, right? Like AI still struggles a lot with like eyes, right? So it has weird eyes. I don't know what's going on there. And it makes like weird images like these as well. So this one is like such a goofy image. I didn't even know what's happening. It somehow got my shoes right. Like these are the kind of shoes I have. So I'm thinking one of the images I uploaded, I had these shoes and stuff. But yeah, it's somehow putting me in Times Square. But I don't know what it did to me. It looks very weird. But then there are some images it does do a good job of. Like here also, like my eyes are all weird. Um, but then there are some images where I'm like, whoa, that's crazy, right? Like it does really good. For example, this one I quite like. I'm like, it still does something weird to my eyes, but it's still a very stylized, like version of me. Like you can still make out it somewhat is like me, or this is a me if I was, I don't know, like a like a pop artist trying to do stuff. This is like a cyberpunk version of me. Um, so it makes all of these like images based on stuff you give it. I don't know what this is. It says Getty images on it as well, which is very weird. Here my teeth are awful. uh, this is very funny. I don't know what's going on here, but it still does uncannily look like me. So there's a lot of that uncanny valley stuff happening for sure. But yeah, it still is somewhat me, right? This is me looking like Jesus. So yeah, it's all weird but fascinating. This is me if I was like really chubby and let myself go and got really fat. Um, but yeah, I think this is the kind of things that's fascinating to me about what AI can do, and I think that's the reason that I got excited this week, is that I want to do this because now this is sort of where there is that like a cross section of art and like design that's starting to happen. Because on the one hand you have art, which is art, which is the generative stuff. So those are the examples you saw on the Stability AI website. Like this is art, right? Like these are like art for art. These are like really amazing art. Like this picture that they put out was like, this is what blew a lot of people's mind. Like this is fully AI generated. So I think there are stuff like these for sure. What happened to this? Which is fascinating. But then this idea of being able to put an image and have AI do something about it, I think that there are a lot of design applications of it now. It's no longer just art. It's no longer just art for sake of art. Can be a function to it, right? And I think that's what I want to start playing around with, to really understand like what is possible. Like if I can give images and have that images be a transformed based on everything that the AI can be taught, what is like possible, right? And one of the most simplest ideas that stuck me up was that a lot of people who play like D&D, so the people who play like Dungeons and like Dragons, we were up sort of like playing one just last week, and I thought immediately that there are people who actually pay artists to like draw the appearance of how their like, a character looks like, right? So they pay, and it can go up to insane amounts, but they will just pay artists and put in a commission to actually draw um, a likeness of the character that they are in D&D, but also something that looks like them, right? Um, a lot of people, of course, can't afford like very good artists to like to do it. But then with AI, that could be done so easily. I think that part is very very fascinating, because I can now or like give it a bunch of pictures of my face, and I can be like, I want to look like an elf ranger, or I want to look like like a dwarf. I can offer it all of these things, and AI can be taught what looks like an elf, sort of what looks like a dwarf, what looks like a ranger, and then I can actually create these generative arts of myself. So that's a very simple idea. I'm pretty sure a bunch of your D&D fans around the world would be very stoked if there is a tool like that exists, that they can just pick the characters they want and it can generate this for them. So I think that's very fascinating. But apart from that, I just think that there can be so much more applications of people doing stuff with this generative art thing. So yeah, I just so my mind was exploding with a whole bunch of ideas. So I'm like, okay, I need to understand the tech, because it's still tech that is um, it's becoming accessible by the day. Like more and more people are able to work with it, but it's still not accessible where I can just build it without understanding any of the code. So yeah, this is my shirt that says more code, more problems. This is from like Webflow. So I still need to understand a bit of the programming of this. Is what my understanding is. It's not as straightforward as what we saw with like DALI, where it is just you don't have to know anything about how the AI behind actually works. You enter a prompt and it is able to offer you the description. So here I do need to understand a bit more of the tech, because most of the things I found with a Google search was like a GitHub repository or instructions on or how I need to install a bunch of things to actually make this work. So I think it is still a bit more technical, and that's why it's a bit more inaccessible at the moment. So I need to put in that extra effort as of now to understand this. But hopefully, if I understand this and if I can get my head around playing around with it, it'll be fun to see what we can build using this, right? Um, so with that context, let's like read through this blog, and I think then we'll just make some few action items for what I want to start with going forward, and then that would probably be the end of today's stream, because I need to get going. All right. Given a text input from user, stable diffusion can generate photorealistic 500 image depicting the scene described in the prompt. Okay, this was what we saw. So they gave this input, and so this was the input. It says a female cyborg assimilated by alien fungus. Wow, this is fancy. Assimilated by alien fungus, intricate 3-point lighting portrait by Xingye and Greg Rutos. Detailed cyberpunk in style of Git S. That's another fascinating. You can ask it to like recreate a painting based on your favorite artists. That's fascinating. Stability AI is a text-based generation machine learning model. Stability AI has the ability to generate based on text. The model is open source. Text-based image generation. It has the ability to generate image from text, which means that it's accessible to everyone to play around with This blog post explains how you can run your first stable diffusion model, but also how it works at a high level. Perfect. This is what I was looking for. Side note: open responsible AI licenses, OpenRail, are licenses designed to permit free and open access, reuse, and downstream distribution of derivatives of AI artifacts, as long as the behavioral use restriction always apply, including to derivative works. You might be asking, dude, what? Here's an alternate explanation. You can use the model for non-commercial purposes and commercial under the terms of the license called Creative ML OpenRail M. It's important not to break any laws, discriminate, or insult individuals generating fake user information. No information found here. Kneeling cat night portrait, finely detailed armor, intricate design, silver silk, cinematic lightning 4K. Wow, this is incredible that an AI has made this. Look at that armor. Look at the details in that armor. Damn. Stable diffusion was trained off three massive data set collected by LAION, a non-profit whose compute time was largely funded by Stable Diffusion's owner, Stability AI. Okay. I could not find any article says which model OpenAI has trained DALI 2 on, although they say hundreds of millions of captioned images. They still did not release any information on the dataset. On the other hand, Stability AI team has been very honest and open about how their model was trained. Coupled with Stable Diffusion being open source, that could explain the massive popularity of this model, while also making it accessible to the general public. Stable Diffusion model was trained using LAIO and aesthetics datasets, a subset of LAIO containing 120 a million image text pairs. That's crazy. From the complete set, which contains 6 billion image text pairs. Out of the 12 million images, they sampled 47% of the total size came from 100 domains, with a Pinterest yielding 8.5% of the entire data set. Other top sources included WordPress.com, blog posts, Flickr, DeviantArt, Wikimedia. Stable Diffusion reportedly runs on less than a 10 GB VRAM at inference time, generating 512 by 512 images in just a few seconds, meaning running on consumer GPUs is an option. See, I think that's the fascinating part. The people are just building these things out on their laptops even, so it's crazy. All right, technicals. Stable diffusion is powered by latent diffusion, a cutting-edge text-to-image synthesis technique. This method was described in a paper published by AI researchers at Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich, titled "High Resolution Image Synthesis with Latent Diffusion Models." In a nutshell, latent diffusions are diffusion models, DMs, that achieve state-of-the-art synthesis results on image data and more by breaking down the process of making an image into a series of applications of denoising autoencoders. Whoa, I didn't understand that. It was a bit too heavy. In a nutshell, latent diffusions are diffusion models that achieve state-of-the-art synthesis results on image data and more by breaking down the process of an image into a series of applications of denoising autoencoders. Okay. Now pixel space. So this is the diffusion process. So basically, they at very high level understand it. So basically, they're just pixel by pixel, like making changes based on the text, and they're doing it in layers and semantic map text. It offers images. Okay, it's too technical for sure, but let's move on. Stability AI puts diffusion of models in the latent space of powerful pre-trained autoencoders so that they could be trained with limited computing resources without losing their quality or flexibility. Latent diffusion models, LDM, runs the diffusion process in the latent space instead of pixel space, making training costs lower and inference speed faster. It is motivated by observation that most bits of an image contribute to perceptual details, and the semantics and conceptual composition still remains after aggressive compression. LDM loosely decomposes the perceptual compression and semantic compression with generative modeling, learning by first trimming off pixel level redundancy with autoencoder, and then manipulate generate semantic concepts with diffusion process on learned latent. Whew. Okay, let's look at the paper. High resolution image synthesis with latent model diffusion. Is this super technical? Are they gonna get to? Okay, they do get to the technical part. Downloading weights. Oh, the Hugging Face was the repository that we saw. That was the first thing. Okay, so let's go by decomposing image formation. Okay, so this is the paper that's based on by decomposing of image. Okay, let's see. No, I shouldn't have clicked on that. Okay, I clicked on that. So this is the full paper. Let me open that in a new tab, and then you will need. Okay, so here's what we need. Prerequisites. You will need one of the following: an NVIDIA based graphic cards, an Apple computer with an N1 chip. I have that. Okay, you need one of the following. Okay, Mac OS 12.3. I have that. Let's see how good is my Mac. It's running 3.0, 16 GB. I think I'm good. Yeah, I have 1 GB storage. Okay, at least 12 GB. Okay, let's actually bring it here. At least 12 GB main memory RAM. Okay, I have 16 GB memory RAM. 8 GB of RAM also work, but it's annoyingly slow. Okay, so that's fine. At least 6 GB of free disk space. That's fine. Machine learning, Python, and all its dependencies. Okay, so I have the requisites. Great. Conda installation. I generally recommend that you install Conda. Pip is a package manager, and virtual env is an environment manager. Conda is both. Okay, so we're gonna work with Conda. So Conda is a packaging tool and installer that aims to do more than what pip does. Handle library dependencies outside of Python packages as well as the Python packages themselves. Conda also creates virtual environments like virtual env does. Okay. Create environment. Use the following command to create your own environment that is specifically set up for stable diffusion. Okay, so first I need to download Conda. So it sort of assumes I know how to do that, right? Run it. Okay, this is actually a good thing, but yeah, now I have to run. I have to generate. So Conda, the package to use the following command to create your own environment that is specific. In your case, it would be Conda create user shout name. Once that's done, activate environment use Conda activate Python. Further checks the terminal what Python version you have. So I need Conda, right? Like if there are any programmers watching this stream, they're gonna think me pretty stupid, but I'm assuming I have to first download Conda for me to use this. This doesn't make sense. There's no command called Conda. Okay, so download Conda. Install Conda. So let's install Conda. Conda install. Mac. Anaconda. Conda. Pinconda? Are they all the same thing? Am I doing the right thing? Download installers. Man, this feels like I'm back in the days of installing video games where you install something else to install something else. So I have to install an installer. Is that how it works? Verify installer hashes. Install Machina terminal window run. Follow the front installer. Installing in silent mode. Updating. Okay, so I have to download one of these. I'm gonna download Anaconda. Download Anaconda. Thank you. Alright, we're doing this. Yeah, I know I said we'll not do it in today's thing, but I'm just actually I should stop. I should not do this today. We'll do this in the next we'll do this in the next thing, because it's fascinating. I wanna already start playing around with it. I might play around with it a bit during the week actually, but this is a really good primer actually. How do I bookmark something in here? I'm using this new thing called Arc, and I don't know how to. What was that shortcut for doing things here? Oops. Okay, I'm installing Anaconda already. Just agree to everything. It's allowed like taxes, okay. And then let me figure out how. So I'm using this new browser called Arc, and I don't know how to bookmark something. How can I bookmark something to? Does this not have a bookmark feature? Oh, okay. You know what I can do? I can just save this in here for now. Oh yeah, this is actually the bookmarks. I can save it as a thing that always stays on, and then that works. This is still installing. Number of images, height, width. So I wanted to see how this works actually. Image. I want to give it an image. How do I give it an image? Upload an image to start. Okay, let me take one of my images and use that as a starting point. This is too smiley. Do I have like a non-smiling image? Oh fuck, this is what I think it used for the. This too. I think let me use this image. Okay. And then with the generated image, CFG scale, steps, number of images. Oh, so I use credits basically when I generate images. How many credits do I have? Yeah, I should probably read about it. Today I propose simple form of beginners to use in create draw prompt. Draw prompt is simplest way of describing what you want. Panda, warrior with source. Basic building blocks. As you can see, you have a random scenery there. Then you add a style creature prompt. AI is missing realistic oil painting. I don't know. I'll examine them one by one. An overview of how you might use the style. In case of realistic image, there are various ways of making the style most resulting similar images. Here are some common use techniques: a photo plus a raw prompt, a photograph plus a raw prompt, hyper realistic. You can cross combine these things. Oil painting, finishing touches. This is the part that has some people take extremes. Highly detailed serialism, conclusion. Okay, not helpful. I just want to know how many credits I have. You have reached the end of history. Okay. Your company of builders. Download the manual. Getting started with Dream
Guys, it's
Studio.
Kelly. Go back again with another quick start video. Today we are going to be talking about our new in-painting and out-painting tool. So basically what this allows you to do is build on the initial image tool that we discussed in video 4. You'll upload one of your own images, and using this suite of tools up here, you can selectively erase some backgrounds or blurs or blemishes or
You
anything
get
that you want
200
to
free
make
credits. I
content
guess a
here and
lot.
on
I can
your
fuck
image in a
around.
more powerful way than we did last time. So first things first, let's upload an initial image, and I'm going to use my profile picture like I did last time. Alright, so there's the profile picture. So you can see up here you've got a few different options. You've got a brush size slider, goes from 1 pixel to 500 pixels. Brush blur, so this is going to be how much of a blur there is on